Hold the line.
You're listening to the Holonet on Mojo 50 Radio. The Millennial Conservative Resistance begins right here, right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the new Millennial Conservative Resistance does indeed begin right here, right now with you, and you are listening to, and God, I hope you're watching the Holonet on the mighty, the powerful Mojo 50, because it is mighty and powerful when you get this level of conservative and libertarian content together all in one place. Folks, this is our battleground. This is where we plant our flag and where we hold the line. Thank you for joining us this week. It is Saturday in the year of our Lord, the 23rd of November in the year of our Lord 2019. It is the week before Thanksgiving, the day of giving thanks for all that the good Lord has bestowed upon us. And we have a lot to be thankful for this year. And one of the things I am chiefly thankful for is the strength and integrity of the team that I have the privilege to work with here at Mojo 50. All the folks that work behind the scenes. El Jefe Ron, Handicap Jeff, good old Handy J, Beth Knott, who is our programming director, and of course the indefatigable Dominic Izzo, who is the motion behind like the sales engine, the marketing engine over there at Mojo 50. So I want to give my thanks to all the supporting team members over at Mojo 50, as well as my fellow hosts. I could run through the entire roster, but we don't have all friggin' day. But, you know, just a couple of quick call-outs. Jen from That's What She Said, Defenders Live, love you guys. Mr. Watson Prunier, Mr. Andrew Coppins, don't forget about Whiskey 6, Cowboy Logic. Cowboy Logic, by the way, follows this show right after on Saturdays. Whiskey 6 follows on Sundays. And let's not forget Mr. Patrick Oney. I know I'm not mentioning everybody. You got like Sam Sorbo, who's incredible. You have a whole bunch of great, amazing hosts. And if you haven't done it yet, if you have not done it yet, I would urge you to find somebody new. No, don't leave me. Don't leave me. You know, stay here. Stay. Find somebody new in addition to me, okay? And check them out. Just try them out for a week. See if they do it for you. Oh, I forgot about Mike Phillip, the American Uck, who likewise covers everything north and south of the border. He the way I kind of lean toward the British politics and the Australian politics and all that, my brother from the north covers us up topside in Canada, in good old Canada. So make sure you give him some love as well. But try somebody else out, you know. We have a lot of different hosts. We cover a lot of different topics. Sometimes we cover the same topics, but we cover it from a different angle because we're all different people. We have our different views. I know I'm not necessarily of the same, you know, religious cut as everybody else. I'm a Christian, but, you know, I've got my own way of going about it. I was raised Presbyterian, but I'm getting better. I grew up back east in Jersey, so my political conservatism is informed by that, and that is why we're going to talk a little bit about Michael Broomhead. Different guy. Okay, Mike Broomhead is actually a really cool conservative host out here in Phoenix. He's not entering an election, by the way, although, God, I wish he would. Michael Bloomberg. Don't ever want to get those two confused. Broomhead will whoop my ass. Bloomberg is he or isn't he getting into the election? We go to a story from Vox on that after we talk about something real quick. But I want to kind of give you an idea of what this show is going to look like. This show I'm calling Well-Founded Fear. It's a well-founded fear because a report just came out from Rasmussen that you're not going to believe. But if you've been listening to the HoloNet, if you've been listening to a lot of shows here on Mojo 50, I actually think you might believe it because it's what we've been saying. If you listen to Dominic Izzo, if you listen to the Defenders Live, if you listen to the American Uck, if you listen to Whiskey 6 and, you know, the gang over there who, by the way, I was supposed to do a little something for them. I was supposed to do a favor for them, you know. Doing favors for friends. I was supposed to do a favor for them and I didn't get around to it. So I really do apologize. And, you know, I'm supposed to cover Dominic at some point in the next 5 weeks here. I'm going to really try to make that happen, but without getting too into the weeds and too into the BS of my family life, I almost posted in the HoloNet premiere and private group on the Facebooks that like my wife and 2 of my 4 kids are down with the flu right now, and I've been battling this this bad cough for like 2 weeks now. I seriously considered not going on tonight, just taking the week off, but I digress. It's busy times here at Mojo 50, especially here at the Forward Operating Command Post in the Sonoran Desert. If you happen to hear the sounds of coyotes howling, that's because there's an entire pack of them just south of my backyard. That was fun. Scared the hell out of me. But if I do have to take my dogs out while I'm recording this, I will have Smith, Wesson, and their buddy Henry joining me because I love my dogs very much. And as much as I love coyotes, I love my dogs more. But anyway, 2 important matters. Like I said, check out somebody else from Mojo 50. Give another host a chance. Give them all a chance. They're all incredible people to work with, and that's what I'm thankful for this year. I'm also thankful for our fantastic sponsor at lovemytummy.com. Lovemytummy.com. Get on there right now. Get yourself some Atrantil. You can get some Atrantil. It's $99 for a 3-month supply, and that helps you handle the bubble guts, the thunder poops, anything that is giving you trouble in your digestive region. It helps you out with the bloating. It helps you out with the rumbly tummy. It is chock full of polyphenols. Polyphenols, I'm not a biology major or a chemistry major. Polyphenols are things. It's a thing. It's a thing with the stuff in the junk. Now, don't stick anything in your junk like we talked about on Dominic's show last week. Ugh. But it's a thing with the stuff in the junk. And what polyphenols do, they're craved by your body. They're necessary for your digestive flora. Your body needs these polyphenols, and it looks for them. And it enables you to suppress that bloating feeling, that nastiness, because all your health emanates from your gut, emanates from the food you eat and the way your body processes it. So take care of your body. Get on lovemytummy.com. Try out Atrantil today. You can use your promo code MOJO, and that will get you that 3-month supply, I believe, at $99, and that is lovemytummy.com/mojo. Check it out today. So I told you we were going to go to the story about the former mayor of New York City. God help us all. And this is a story coming to us from Vox. Yes, I am going to shower after I read this. So Vox reports, and this is their headline. Every time I read something like this, I'm like, somebody got paid for writing this, and I'm still doing this shit as a side gig. Come on! Michael Bloomberg is probably definitely going to run for president. Probably definitely. Way to go, Vox. Anyway, Michael Bloomberg is probably definitely going to run for president. Former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg is still inching toward a White House bid, but it's not quite official. I just wonder how many inchings is he doing. The 77-year-old billionaire philanthropist, media magnate, and former New York City mayor hasn't officially announced that he plans to seek the Democratic Party's nomination for the White House, but all signs point to that being the case. On Thursday, he filed paperwork with the Federal Election Commission to run for the White House in 2020. Wait a minute. So he is, but he's not, but he filed all the paperwork with the FCC? I'm sorry, doing government paperwork is a little bit like putting on a condom. You don't do it unless you're gonna... Yeah. That one I'll censor. There you go, Beth. Yeah, you don't pull out your gun unless you're gonna shoot, and you don't put on a condom unless you mean to... In March, Bloomberg said he would sit the race out, but he appears to have changed his mind in the face of the rise... That's a bad sentence structure, isn't it? Listen to this. But he appears to have changed his mind in the face of the rise of progressives. Bernie Sanders, talk about a compound. Anyway, of progressives. Bernie Sanders
is your poison running through my veins.
And Elizabeth Warren, and the perceived weakness of the more centrist Joe Biden. Rumblings that Bloomberg is going to toss his hat into the ring have been going on for a while. Earlier this month, the New York Times first reported that Bloomberg was flirting with the idea of a presidential bid again, noting that he had dispatched staffers to gather signatures in Alabama, go Bama, a state with an early filing deadline, and called up prominent Democrats. He subsequently registered on the ballot in both states. Spokesperson for Bloomberg explained that when he filed to get the ballot in Alabama on November 8th, that kicked off a process that required him to file with the FEC within 15 days. The spokesperson said the filing is another step toward running, but it's not an announcement or signal of a final decision. What kind of bullshit is that? You don't go to that. I don't care if you do have $52 billion to blow. You don't go through that kind of crap unless you're actually going to do it. But here's where I come in with Bloomberg and his situation. Bloomberg is the anti-Trump, okay? In the way that there's an anti-Pope. I'm not going to accuse President Trump of being an overly Christ-like figure, but kind of like the Antichrist, okay? He is the anti-Trump. Trump ran because he is a New York City businessman who's incorruptible, who can't be bought, who can't be run by these money men because he's got his own damn money. He's already rich. And, that's kind of what drew the American people to him. Bloomberg is his equal and opposite reaction. Bloomberg is physics playing out in American politics. With $52 billion in the bankroll, he can bust out his wallet. He doesn't need to take any donations from anybody. He's probably going to, but he doesn't actually need to. He can bankroll his entire run himself. He's like the anti-Ross Perot. He has all terrible ideas and limitless money. But the thing is, he's going to run on the Democrat ticket because he's already said he doesn't want to split the Democrat ticket and basically hand Trump the White House. He considered running as an independent, but he doesn't want to do it because he doesn't want to split the vote. So he's going to try as a Democrat late in the race, now that all the riffraff has been kicked out early on. And by riffraff, we mean legitimate centrists like Tulsi Gabbard, for example. Now, I don't like Tulsi. I disagree with her on pretty much everything, but I respect the fact that she's a member of the service and that she's done good work for this country, and we're going to disagree on a whole lot of things, but at least I think she's genuine. I don't think she's a hack or a wingnut. But during a speech in New Hampshire in January, Bloomberg talked about the need for, quote, common sense gun laws. When you hear that, flip on the red alert, and he says, nobody's trying to take away anybody's guns, but we shouldn't be selling guns to criminals or people with psychiatric problems or minors. He said during the same speech he touted his record on climate and pointed out he's been working on the issue for more than a dozen years. So yeah, he's trying to flip all the right switches and push all the right buttons. Folks, he's running. I don't care what Vox tries to say. Will he, won't he? He is, but he's not. He's running. You don't go through all this trouble unless you're planning to do something. Bloomberg's getting in, and Bloomberg's going to be trouble. If you're looking for somebody who the center leftists can get behind, it's not Joe Biden. Joe Biden's tainted. Hillary Clinton isn't stupid. She's not going to get in. Bloomberg is the man to watch. Bloomberg is going to be the one to beat. Bloomberg, if he throws down officially, is going to be the nominee. Bank on it. Because the DNC is going, ooh, free ride. They want to jump on the Bloomberg Express. I think Trump can beat him. I think Trump can beat him with one hand tied behind his back because he was a garbage mayor of New York City. But he is centrist enough to get the Blue Dog Democrats to come out to the polls. The best thing that can happen to President Trump right now is an Elizabeth Warren opponent or somebody else who is similarly extreme left-wing. Bernie Sanders would get smoked by President Trump right now. That would be the absolute best thing, I think. But Bloomberg? I don't know, man. Jury's still out. He could be a contender. But now to the meat and potatoes. I told you we were going to talk about it, and we were going to come to a story today that is going to give you some pause. Rasmussen Poll, out this weekend. This is coming to us, by the way, from Breitbart and also from Twitter, straight from Rasmussen themselves. Rasmussen Poll found that voters fear a greater threat of violence from President Donald Trump's opponents than from his supporters. Now, to which everybody on the right all cried up in one voice, yeah, no, Sherlock. Yeah, we all know that Antifa's violent, but now it seems that voters and a broader spectrum are starting to see that as the case. Quote, voters see a bigger threat from President Trump's opponents over policy issues than from his supporters if Democrats succeed in removing him from office, Rasmussen observed. And, quote, 1 in 3 still see the threat of civil war in the near future. Excuse me. Sorry, I'm trying to direct my coughs away so you don't have to listen to that this week. But this is something we've been saying here on the HoloNet, and you've heard on other places of Mojo 50 and in the conservative media. 1 in 3 people still see the threat of a civil war in our near future. Now, they say these findings are unchanged from June of last year. The poll found 53% of likely voters are concerned, including 24% who are very concerned that violence will occur if Democrats succeed in removing President Trump from office. As was the case last year, 31% of likely voters fear the United States will experience a second civil war within the next 5 years, including 41% of those voters under the age of 40. That's my age group, kiddies. That is millennials. 41% of millennials believe we will see a second civil war within the next 5 years. Time to get cocked, locked, and ready to rock, folks. It's the latest generation. It is the generation that is currently coming up. Who believe? 41% believe we will be in civil war. Folks, alarm bells need to be going off at this point. More than 60% of Republicans fear violence if Trump is removed from office, with 65% very concerned or somewhat concerned that those opposed to the president's policies will resort to violence. We've seen it already. Let's get real for a minute. Let's get real for a second, okay? I live in Arizona. Arizona is an overwhelmingly conservative state. At least at the moment. That red hat, it takes some chutzpah to rock that red hat. Especially if you don't know where you're going. You don't know what those people are like. If you're in a business context at all. It takes some chutzpah to rock that red hat. Not everybody can do it. I've done it a couple times. I don't do it on a regular basis because I don't really wear hats very much. I have a nice cowboy hat. Some people say it's more like a fedora based on the size of my head. But I have a nice cowboy hat that I wear more often than not. But for Trump events and, other political events, I've gone ahead and worn the MAGA hat. But even here in Arizona, one of the most conservative states of the union, it gives you pause. It gives you pause to wear something that shows like this, like the 1776 Betsy. Grunt style. Guys, I'm still waiting for that phone call. Jingle me up here. Come on. Let's make something happen. Let's cut a deal. But anyway, wearing something like this, even though this is like half my wardrobe. This is like half the stuff I wear is from Grunt style or other patriotic t-shirts. You get looks. People prejudge you. Even here. So how real is that in California? How real is that in New York, Boston, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C.? And who are you worried about? I mean, who is more worried here? Somebody wearing a Bernie shirt or somebody wearing a MAGA shirt walking into a crowded room? Who's the more likely to violently respond? It doesn't take a deep thinker. You don't really have to consider it much. What you should consider, though, before we go on this whole break thing, is where you're getting your CBD. If you're a CBD connoisseur, if you're a consumer of CBD, you need to go on to mojo50.com/shop, mojo50.com/shop. You need to check out Dr. Ken Brown. He's a butt man. Dr. Ken Brown, MD. He has the KBMD brand CBD oil. It's available in cinnamon and available in original as well. It is 900 milligrams of cannabis oil that contains all the cannabinoids, terpenoids, essential oils of the plant. It is a wholesome extract. It is CO2 extract as well, CO2 extracted from industrial hemp plants, and it comes with a certificate of authenticity. If your CBD oil does not have a certificate of authenticity, don't use it. Don't pick up your CBD oil from the corner tent, where they also sell the naranjas and the cocos frutas. No, go somewhere you actually know. Go to a brand you trust. Go to mojo50.com/shop KBMD CBD oils. Use your promo code MATT on your purchase, promo code MATT, and that will get you $15 off your purchase. Brings it down to about $75. So, excuse me, make sure you go to Ken Brown MD's CBD oils on mojo50.com/shop. Use your promo code MATT at checkout and get yourself some high quality CBD oil that has all the essential cannabinoids, terpenoids, and essential oils from the plant. It's a wholesome extract. Again, certificate of authenticity, 900 milligrams of cannabis oil. Make it happen, all right? Use it together with the Atrantil. Works very well together. If you have inflammation, anything like that, that's where the CBD oil really shines. If you have frequent pain, inflammation, and you got the bubble guts and the thunder poops and all that, combine them. Do them both. Atrantil, CBD oil. See how you do. I think you'll see an improvement. All right. Now, when we come back, we're gonna wrap up a little bit on this Rasmussen poll. Got a couple more points here that I wanted to hit. Excuse me. Actually, I can nail it in a minute, can't I? Okay. Democrats aren't nearly as worried about Trump supporters, which helps explain their strong support for the highly partisan impeachment effort. While 40% of Democrats are very concerned that those opposed to Trump's policies will resort to violence, just 18% feel that way about supporters of the president if he is removed from office. Only 18% of Democrats are afraid that Trump supporters will respond with violence to the president being removed. 53% of voters are concerned, and 24% are very concerned. 24%. That's rough. We'll be back. You're listening to HoloNet here on the mighty Mojo 50. Stick around.
Mojo 50 Radio. The Millennial Conservative Resistance begins right here, right now.
Oh, yes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we are back here listening to Holonet here on the mighty Mojo 50. Thank you for sticking in for at least this long, for at least the half. I really do appreciate it hanging out with you. We are investigating the well-founded fears. We just went over the Rasmussen polling, which actually showed a majority of Americans, not just Republicans and Democrats, the majority of Americans who feel that the left is more dangerous in light of the potential removal of President Trump. That they are more violent and they are more feared. And in fact, only 18% of Democrats fear a violent reprisal from Trump supporters if President Trump is removed from office. However, 53% of both sides fear an aggressive, violent response from the left, are concerned. 24% are very concerned. Staggering numbers coming from this Rasmussen poll. Thank you to Breitbart for bringing that to our attention today. Now, something else that caught my eye, something else that made me think about these very well-founded, very warranted fears that we have. A story from the Washington Times, confirmed via Twitter. Nancy Pelosi has said it's, quote, a dangerous position to take a let the election decide approach with Trump.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah. So Nancy Pelosi believes that it is a dangerous position to leave whether or not President Trump remains president of this nation in the hands of the American people. That it is dangerous to let the American public decide. Why? Because we may decide incorrectly in her eyes. She framed the Democrats' actions as an example of patriotic leadership against a president who, quote, abused his power for his own personal political benefit. Quote, the weak response to these hearings has been, let the election decide, she said Monday. That dangerous position only adds to the urgency of our action, because the President of the United States is jeopardizing the integrity of the 2020 elections. Mr. Trump ridiculed that statement on Monday morning, saying Nancy Pelosi just stated that, quote, it is dangerous to let the voters decide Trump's fate. In other words, she thinks I'm going to win and doesn't want to take a chance of letting the voters decide. Like Al Green, she wants to change our voting system. Wow. She is crazy.
Oh, it's funny because it's true.
We've been saying this now. We've been saying this since the first challenges to the Electoral College came, with the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact, which I'm going to be getting back to and redressing because that has been picking up steam, and that is a serious threat to our freedom and to our constitutional rights. Democrats maintain that delaying aid to Ukraine while the White House was inquiring into allegations of corruption by former Vice President Joseph R. Biden's son Hunter is an offense worthy of impeachment. And she writes, the aid was only released after the whistleblower exposed the truth of the president's extortion and bribery, and the House launched its formal investigation. This is despite multiple witnesses coming forward with zero evidence that the aid was at all tied to the president's demand for an investigation. They're taking off the masks. They've come right out and said it. The actual letter was a Dear Democratic Colleague letter, tweeted out by Jack Salamani. It says, Dear Democratic Colleague, as we enter this pre-Thanksgiving week, we must extend the continuing resolution to keep government open and advance our legislative agenda to meet the needs of the American people. In other words, the legislative agenda of doing absolutely all, doing nothing. They've literally done nothing for 2 years. except try to impeach this president. 3 years. I digress. Thank you to the many members who participated in our speakers meeting on jobs. The presentation of the challenges facing Americans' working families and the solutions presented by the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee Chairman DeFazio and Energy and Commerce Committee Chairman Pallone helped advance our infrastructure legislation. The discussions on the USMCA were constructive and will continue this week. At the same time we legislate, we continue to investigate and litigate as the impeachment inquiry proceeds. Last week, the country was impressed by the valor and patriotism of dedicated public servants and career diplomats appointed by the president in speaking truth to power.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Yeah. Oh, God, it gets worse from here. This week we'll hear from additional witnesses who will courageously expose the truth and defend our democracy.
What?
This week, the facts are uncontested that the president abused his power for his own personal political benefit at the expense of our national security interests. Sorry, I can't seem to get that story back. There we go. The weak response to these hearings has been, let the election decide. That dangerous position only adds to the urgency of our action because the president is jeopardizing the integrity of the 2020 elections, which we heard before. There are also some who say that no serious wrongdoing was committed, like logical thinking American human beings, because the military assistance to Ukraine was eventually released. The fact is, the aid was only released after the whistleblower exposed the truth of the president's extortion and bribery, and the House launched a formal investigation. Now they're using extortion and bribery. You see, before it was a little more nebulous, but now they're coming right out with it. None of us comes to Congress to impeach a president, except the entire congressional delegation of the Democratic Party this go, but rather to make progress for America's working families. However, our first order of business is our oath to support and defend the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic. As such, we are custodians of the Constitution, and for the people, defenders of our democracy. Thank you for your patriotic leadership. Ugh.
All of you!
Yeah, it's pretty much it. Nancy Pelosi, when she talks about, constitutional values and upholding the Constitution, it's like listening to Lucifer read scripture. It just doesn't work. I'm sorry. I don't believe you. There is nothing you can say. No line you can draw there, and no analysis you can make, however insightful, that is going to cause me to see that as genuine. You care nothing for the Constitution. Nothing. And speaking of people who care nothing for our constitutional freedoms, San Diego State, in their Pronouns 101 event, have said misgendering a person is like stabbing them. Misgendering someone, so calling someone who believes, for whatever reason, that they are the opposite gender as the correct gender, is akin to penetrating them with a bladed weapon with the intent to wound or kill. San Diego State University is encouraging students to use gender-neutral terms like folks instead of terms like guys, as part of a larger effort to eradicate gendered language on campus. One presenter told students that being misgendered is it's like being stabbed in the butt. Couldn't resist. Sorry. According to a report by the College Fix, administrators at San Diego State University are encouraging students to do away with gendered terms like guys in favor of gender-neutral alternatives like folks. A San Diego University held a workshop on Wednesday called Pronouns 101, in which school leaders provided students with resources that would help them embrace gender-neutral language. Mile Reyes, an administrator, claims that language is supposed to evolve over time. Yes, it's actually supposed to get better. Some languages are more gender-neutral and are more able to incorporate gender-neutral pronouns in language, but when that's not inherently in the system, we make it work because language is meant to evolve, Reyes argued. He told students that referring to a transgender person with incorrect pronouns can make them feel, quote, gross. Referring to someone with the wrong pronouns can make them feel just gross. It's disrespectful and it makes people feel invalid or invisible, dismissed, alienated, dysphoric, and a bunch of unpleasant things. Interesting how he used the word dysphoric, given the fact that the medical condition that causes quote-unquote transgenderism is in fact gender dysphoria. I suppose there's that. The Pronouns 101 event was one of only several workshops that took place on Wednesday's Transgender Awareness Day. Wesley Palau, the coordinator of the San Diego State University's Price Center, told students that being misgendered is, quote, like being stabbed. Quote, I remember when I was first starting to transition and people would misgender me, it kind of felt like being stabbed, you know? But at the same time, you're being stabbed and you're hurt, but you have to turn around and tell the person, oh, actually don't use this knife. I know you want to use a pom-pom to massage me or something instead of the knife that they went for, Palau said during the event. It's like having to do the labor of the emotional work while you're kind of wounded yourself. Oh my God. What's left? What's left of objective truth? Tell you one objective truth. I need new shoes. Mine suck. They do, in fact, suck. So I'm going on combatflipflops.com. Combatflipflops.com. Bad for running, worse for fighting. You can wage the peace with combatflipflops.com. Business, not bullets. Promote entrepreneurialism abroad. And actually promote the education of a couple of broads. Because every time you make a purchase, money goes toward educating Afghani women in former Taliban-controlled areas where education was forbidden. Among the many things you can get there, you can get the Flop Raiders, you can get the MK15s, which are really nice. I would call them Vans or Converse-like sneakers. They're very, very cool. I want to pick up a pair of those bad boys, and also a pair of the low-lying Floperators, just so I can get some new flip-flops happening. Make sure you do too. Get on there, combatflipflops.com, and use promo code HOLLOW25, HOLLOW25, on combatflipflops.com. Make it happen today, all right? So being misgendered is now like being stabbed, according to San Diego. It's insane. It's insane. Hey, have you guys been following any of this business with Lindsey Graham? Lindsey Graham, big development happened here on Friday. Apparently, Lindsey Graham, for the second time in recent memory, has located his testicles and assures us they are intact. Lindsey Graham officially opened an investigation into Joe Biden, his son, and their dealings in Ukraine. You don't say. Way to go, Lindsey. The last time I felt this good about Lindsey Graham was during the Kavanaugh hearings. That's right. That's right. Now that was a memeable moment. He became a meme supporting Justice Brett Kavanaugh. So that's now 2 times during the Trump administration that Lindsey Graham has managed to successfully locate his testicles. And we should congratulate him. Senator Lindsey Graham called on the State Department to provide documents related to the claims that Joe Biden abused the office of vice president in his relations with Ukraine during the Obama administration. Graham, the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, made the request in a letter published on Tuesday and tweeted about the probe. Quote, "Today I sent a letter to Secretary Mike Pompeo requesting documents related to the contacts between Vice President Biden, Hunter Biden, the Obama administration officials, and Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko," he tweeted. The accusations center around suspicions that Biden used his position as vice president to withhold support from Ukraine until they fired a prosecutor that was looking into corruption at the energy company Burisma. The company also hired Hunter Biden, prompting many to wonder if Biden was trying to help his son by abusing his office. Quote, "Why would you want to fire the guy after he prosecuted the person you said was the dirtiest person in all of Ukraine," said Graham to Sean Hannity about the probe. "I want to know, are there any transcripts or readouts of the phone calls between the vice president and the president of Ukraine in February after the raid on the gas company president's house," he explained. After this raid, Hunter Biden kicks in. Hunter Biden's law business partner meets with John Kerry and Vice President Biden on 3 occasions and makes a phone call to the president of Ukraine and goes over there in March. And they fire the guy, Graham added. Now, I had reposted an excellent piece by The Blaze. They called it The Democrats' Hydra. I recommend you check it out. It is a long, grueling video. There are a lot of analysts that are out there that are taking it apart and making it more digestible. Either way you do it, I recommend you expose yourself to this information prior to the impeachment proceedings in the Senate, because this will come up during President Trump's impeachment trial. I guarantee it. And I sure hope it does, because all of this information needs to come out. And the best vehicle that the Republican Party has at its disposal right now is the subpoena power of the Senate trial of President Trump. We know President Trump is not going to be found guilty and removed from office by the Republicans in the Senate, but the truth will out, and it will burn away all of the lies in the crucible of the cross-examination in the Senate. We have some very powerful orators, some very, very skilled litigators. Think Ted Cruz. That guy argued in front of the Supreme Court on multiple occasions, clerked under some of our best judges. He is going to be among the team. Okay? So let's get these people in front of the Senate, in front of the very best litigators and legislators that we have to offer, and just watch the flames. Just boil it all away until we come down to the unvarnished truth of the matter, into the purest specimen of the truth, that Hunter Biden was doing dirty deeds, done dirt cheap in the Ukraine, and that Big Papa Biden stepped in to protect his baby boy. Folks, it is the oldest type of corruption in the books. It is nepotism, and it's a father protecting his son. But in this case, it is very wrong, because this father put the well-being of his family above the well-being of his nation, and shamed and dishonored the American people in the process. The truth will out. This trial will end Biden's presidential ambitions. If not in entirety, then certainly in all pragmatic sense. And the thing to watch out for after that is the ascendant Michael Bloomberg. But kudos on Lindsey Graham. Reached down, found his testicles once again. Congratulations to Lindsey Graham. So, again, this show I called Well-Founded Fears, because I do feel, as I've said on many occasions, that the battle is being waged on many fronts, and that we will see some form of divisive conflict in my time. I can only hope that we as a people and as a nation keep it to the ballot box and the debate stage as we have for so many years. That we can have a truly divisive election, but where all the violence is of a rhetorical nature. The deadliest things strewn about and slung at one another are words. Words hurt, but words don't kill. I pray fervently with all my heart and soul and being, though, that if there must be a conflict, that it be my time, and that it be swift, and that it be light, with little to no casualties, and that the Constitution of the United States is preserved and upheld, and the people who have rightly elected the President of the United States are not denied their vote, as many, like Nancy Pelosi, would apparently seek to do. May it be in my time, and not my sons, or your sons, or your grandsons. May it be here, may it be now, and may it be small, fast, and manageable. May it be bloodless. If we must settle this divide, let us do it today, so we can get back to the important business of American exceptionalism and of leading the world into the 21st century instead of falling back into the 19th. A couple more stories to run through. Chick-fil-A feverishly backpedaling, calling on Franklin Graham to assure that the Chick-fil-A CEO assured me company hasn't bowed down to LGBT demands. Celebrated evangelist Reverend Franklin Graham revealed Thursday that Chick-fil-A's CEO has assured him that the fast food chain has not bowed down to demands from LGBT activists following the news that it is ending donations to 3 groups that oppose gay marriage. In a social media post, he wrote that CEO Dan Cathy, that he called to discuss the issue, and came away thinking the controversy had been overblown, affirming that Chick-fil-A has not changed who they are or what they believe, but they did change who they sponsor. What does that tell you? I don't know, man. Chick-fil-A very suddenly turning around and saying it's not going to sponsor the Salvation Army or the Fellowship of Christian Athletes or the Paul Anderson Youth Homes. It's sad. When your choice is being affected by the beliefs of others. I think Mike Huckabee got it right. He said they surrendered to anti-Christian hate groups. And others at the Blaze reported that now there are 2 very anti-Trump, very anti-conservative values members of the Chick-fil-A board, and perhaps they were victorious in this. A sad day in America when one of the last holdouts, one of the titans, falls. Well, I was going to get that chicken sandwich this week, but now it just gives me pause. Now, in a little bit of lighter news, I suppose it's lighter. Story from Vox. Apparently, Victoria's Secret's fashion show has been canceled. I don't know if that's really brighter news. I mean, I don't have much love lost with Victoria's Secret. I mean, last time I was in a Victoria's Secret store, I think the girl who was working there was an ass and had very, very poor customer service. And that they're just kind of snooty to begin with. But I don't like the reasoning that Vox gives, because Vox is whooping it up and claiming this as a victory. Let's see here. Here we go. The brand's hypersexualized portrayal of women doesn't appear to resonate with modern customers as strongly as it once did. Shoppers today tend to look for inclusive sizing, comfort, and a brand identity rooted in female empowerment. Lingerie customers also care more about comfort and fit than sexiness when it comes to their buying decisions. Victoria's Secret may no longer be seen as the arbiter of sexiness that it once was. The show had been criticized for having a poor record on inclusion in its 24-year existence. The first model of Asian descent wasn't cast until 2009, but Victoria's Secret has, as reported by Vox's Alex Abad Santos in 2018, actually been something of an industry leader in racial diversity. You see, this is where they go with it all the time. How about just a very simple business class story? It wasn't making money anymore. You think about that? That Victoria's Secret was responding to market pressures. No, instead, they have to take this identitarian stance with everything. That they were non-inclusive. That somehow this is a battle of the left against business, and the left won. So, chalk one up for the good guys, eh, Vox? Ridiculous stuff. Folks, can't say for sure what's coming. I know that this trial of the president needs to go to the Senate, and I believe everything will be outed there. I don't know if we're going to see violence afterward. I pray that we don't. But if we do, again, like I said, let it be swift, let it be relatively bloodless, completely bloodless if at all possible, and let it be done so that we can move on with the important task of being a great nation, of great people, of being exceptional. And so that way, we can face it, and our children won't have to. So wrapping things up here, from the Forward Operating Center of Mojo 50, deep in the Sonoran Desert of Arizona, you're listening and watching, I hope, the HoloNet on the mighty Mojo 50. Before we go, did want to just let you know one more time about our sponsors at Cat Coolers. Cat Coolers, use promo code HOLLOW, HOLLOW, and you can get some savings. I think it's 15% off on your cooler there. Go to catcoolers.com, catcoolers.com. Use your promo code HOLLOW. From Phoenix, everybody, good night. God bless you. God bless the United States of America. I'm out. Happy Thanksgiving. I'll see you after. End transmission.